Every once in a while, something comes along in the tech world that doesn't just make a splash, it's a full-on tidal wave.
And that's pretty much what happened with Google's latest model, Gemini 3 Pro.
So let's get right into it and unpack how this one model basically just changed the entire game.
It all kicked off with just one number, 1501. Now, to most people, that might not mean much. But in the AI community, that was a shot heard round the world. This number is the ELO score that Gemini 3 Pro hit on the LM Arena leaderboard. It's the first time any model has ever broken the 1500 barrier. It was basically a coronation. A new king had arrived.
And the day this all went down? November 18th, 2025. You might want to remember that date, because this wasn't just some routine update. Nope. This was a moment that sent shockwaves through the entire industry and had everyone scrambling to figure out their next move, and fast. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with how it burst onto the scene. Then we'll pop the hood and see what makes it tick. After that, we'll get into something called the agentic revolution. Super interesting stuff. We'll see how it stacks up against the competition, and then we'll wrap up by looking at what all this means for the future. Okay, first things first, the arrival. I mean, when this thing launched, it wasn't a quiet entry. It was more like a hostile takeover.
The fallout was, well, immediate. Of course, it shot to the top of the LMA Arena leaderboard. We already know that. But it also dethroned GPT-5.1 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index. But honestly, the stats are one thing. The human reaction was something else entirely. You had the heads of OpenAI and xAI, the direct competition, publicly congratulating them. I mean, that just doesn't happen. It was a major sign of respect. But also, you could just feel the pressure in the industry suddenly crank up to a whole new level.
So the big question is, how in the world did Google pull this off? Well, the secret sauce is really in the architecture. It's a completely different way of building these things. At the heart of it is this concept called Sparse Mixture-of-Experts, or MOE for short. Now, that sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine you have a big team of specialists, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you name it. With old AI models, it's like asking the entire team to help you with a simple math problem. It's a huge waste of energy. With MOE, the system is smart enough to say, hey, this is a math problem, let's just ask the mathematician. It only calls up the specific experts it needs, which makes the whole thing wildly efficient. And this really shows you the difference. On the left, you've got the old way, the dense architecture. It's brute force. Every part of the model fires up for every single question. Super slow, super expensive. But on the right, you see the MOE approach. It's like a scalpel, it's precise. And the result? Gemini 3 Pro runs about twice as fast. That's a monster improvement, and it means it's way cheaper to operate too. Okay, and then there's this number, 1 million tokens. That's its context window. Basically, it's short-term memory. And a million tokens it's just huge. To give you some perspective, that's like feeding it about 750,000 words all at once. Think about that. You could give it an entire massive novel or a whole company's legal history or a giant software codebase, and it can process it all in one shot. It's a real game changer. And here's the real kicker. All that power isn't just for words on a page. This model is natively multimodal. That's a super important phrase. It means it was built from the ground up to understand everything. Text, images, audio, video, code, all mixed together. It's not like they bolted on an image feature later. It thinks in all these formats at the same time, which gives it a way deeper, more human-like understanding of the world. All right, so all of that architecture stuff is incredible, but it's really the foundation for the next huge leap forward. Because look, it's one thing for an AI to be a super smart chatbot. It's a whole different ballgame when that AI can actually do things in the real world. And that's where this term agentic AI comes in. And you really need to get this because it's a massive shift in how we think about AI. It's the difference between having a calculator and having a personal assistant. You tell a calculator exactly what to do. With an agentic AI, you give it a goal, like plan my vacation, and it figures out the steps. It plans, it uses different tools, and it gives you a finished product, not just a simple response. And Google's new anti-gravity platform is the perfect example of this in action. Let me just walk you through how it works, because it's wild. So step 1, a developer gives it a high-level goal, not a command, an idea. Something like,
hey, build me a new feature. Then step 2 is where the magic happens. The AI agent just goes to work. On its own. It's using the same tools the developer uses, the code editor, the command line, the web browser, all at the same time. And finally, step 3, it doesn't just give you some advice, it hands you the finished product. The actual code, the actual report, it's a real thing you can use.
The implications of this are just massive for the business world. People are talking about vibe coding now, where you can literally just describe the feeling you want for an app, and the AI builds a prototype for you. This is a direct shot across the bow for all those low-code and no-code platforms. I mean, think about it. Why would you spend hours dragging and dropping boxes when you can just tell an AI what you want in plain English?
Okay, so we've talked up a big game, we know what it can do. But how does Gemini 3 Pro really fare when you put it head-to-head with the other heavyweights? Let's get into the numbers. This table pretty much says it all. First row, multimodal reasoning, solid lead, very impressive. Second row, coding skills, it's way ahead of GPT 5.1. That's a huge gap. But then you get to that last row, the agentic task score. That's not just a lead, that's a completely different universe. It's a total blowout.
So here's that multimodal lead in a simple bar chart. And I know what you're thinking. A 5-point lead doesn't sound like a landslide. But in the world of AI benchmarks, that is a massive gap. It's proof that their strategy of building a native multimodal model from scratch really paid off. But this chart, okay, this is the one that really blew everyone away. This vending bench isn't some abstract academic test. It's a simulation that measures how much actual real-world value an AI agent can create. And the results are just staggering. Gemini 3 Pro generated almost 4 times more value than its closest competitor. This isn't a small step up. This is a quantum leap. It's playing a different sport.
So as mind-blowing as Gemini 3 Pro is, Google DeepMind is already looking way, way beyond it. This is just one stop on a much longer journey. So where are they headed next?
Right now, every AI model, even Gemini 3 Pro, has a major weakness. Its knowledge is frozen in time. It has a knowledge cutoff date. The holy grail, the next frontier, is continual learning. That means an AI that can learn new things every day without forgetting what it already knows. This is incredibly difficult. They even have a name for the problem, catastrophic forgetting. But DeepMind is already working on it with something called the HOPE model. The end goal, an AI that is always learning, always adapting in real time.
And if you want to know how big they're thinking, just listen to this quote from DeepMind CEO, Demis Hassabis. He talks about putting the entire internet in memory. Just let that sink in for a second. Not just having it stored somewhere, but having a deep conceptual understanding of everything on the internet and having that understanding updated constantly. And to be clear, this isn't a hard drive problem. We have enough storage for that. The real challenge, the billion-dollar question, is retrieval. How do you build an AI that can find the exact right piece of information from that ocean of data instantly and use it intelligently? It's like the difference between owning a library with 1 billion books and actually knowing the contents of every single one of them.
Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question of all. If you solve this problem, if you create a system that can learn forever, adapt instantly, and intelligently use all of human knowledge, have you just crossed the finish line? Is that the last piece of the puzzle for creating true artificial general intelligence? That's the question Gemini 3 Pro puts squarely on the table, and it's something we all need to start thinking about. Seriously.